time to unload the dishwasher. How fun is this? Well, it's fun for me. I'm not saying you would find it fun, but I need to unload my dishwasher so I can reload my dishwasher, It's my thing. Oh, by the way, I did a couple painting lives today. Like, people have been saying, why don't you paint? And I have to say, I feel really out of service when it comes to painting. Not that I've ever been a big acrylic person, because in the past I used to use oil. So I did start using acrylic paint a little bit more in 2022, and I've used it also in 2022 and 2023. But I have to just be honest 100%. I've just always felt the most comfort with oil paint, and hear me out. Why do I love oil paint the best? It's just oil paint stays wet and it just has a blendability that I feel like acrylic paint doesn't have. Like, it just dries too quickly. Like, I like a paint because I'm a slow painter. I'm not somebody that rushes through things. So I like paint that will stay wet for a long time, or that you can go use a new medium with to wet back down. And honestly, acrylic paint's just not really like that. So I'm still playing around with my painting right now, and I'm trying to get it to where I'm happy with it. And I showed it to my mom tonight. She's like, yeah, it looks way too dark because it doesn't look like your skin tone. And I'm like, yeah, it definitely does not. And I was even putting the paint on my hand, trying to match it, like to color match it like it's makeup or something. And I'm like, so I think it's just going to take me maybe a couple days of going over it. But the thing about acrylic paint that's not really conducive to that is, maybe if you have super high-end acrylic paints, but I'm a budget girly, okay? I'm going to use what I have. I've never bought super high-end acrylic paints. That is just not something budget girlies do, okay? If you do art, like commercially, where you're selling a lot of art paintings, and yeah, I could see the benefit of spending a lot of money on acrylic paints, but I'm not going to do that. So I'm just hesitant to layer too much of acrylic paint on top of each other layers, because I know it has a propensity towards cracking, and I don't want it to crack. But if it cracks, that's not the end of the world. This really, I just paint for my fun time. It's really just a fun little hobby for me. And I've had paintings before where it cracked, and somebody actually, like, I color corrected one a few years back, and somebody's like, oh, they liked it better when it was cracked. And I think that's the thing about painting, that it can't just be fun. Like, some people just do impressionistic painting, but I'm trying to do realism with acrylic. Hi, are you an alien? Interesting. Like that thing that's like, maybe it's an alien. By the way, that light that I posted in the video, it was just for fun. Some people took it way too seriously. It's definitely a drone, okay? I know what a drone is. It's not a star, like, which I just thought was hilarious. Like, somebody tried to tell me, oh, I've never been outside before. I mean, really? Do you really believe that I've never been outside before? I'm outside all the time. Like, I'm a pedestrian in Southern California, which means I walk. Like, I walk everywhere. Hi, how you doing? No, the little hand thingy. It just looks like, were you trying to say I'm an alien? I didn't know if it was like a joke because of that. Maybe you didn't see that short I posted. I wasn't sure if it was a joke or something. Because some people were saying that I was filming an alien, and I don't know. Do I believe in aliens? I'm not really sure. It's a very interesting discussion, because the thing about aliens that I don't totally believe in is, I feel like we would have seen more of them by now if there were aliens. Like, why would they hide themselves? So they're this is just my opinion. I know people are like, from ancient times that they've seen aliens, and my dad, I think he kind of believes in all that, like the ancient aliens, but I don't know, I'm a little bit more skeptical than that. I don't necessarily believe in aliens, but if you do, that's cool. But I do think, like, there's drones, obviously, you know. Okay. Okay, well, that's good for you. You should pack your bags and go wherever you want to be. Hi. Well, you're welcome to love my videos or talk to me in a civil manner, and we can be friends in the comment section. Just friendly chat. But that's that. Like, I'm not following anybody onto some other website. Like, a lot of people are like, when are you going to this Insta thing? When are you going to the TikTok to talk to me in the message? That's not happening. You're welcome to talk to me here in the chat box. Yeah, don't get stuck, plates. California. My channel's name is California Mountain Art and Life. I used to call it Sweetberries Art. I had a website for a long time called sweetberriesart.com. It used to be the first one I had was Sweetberries, but I stopped having the website last year just because it was just too expensive, to be honest, because I started the website out as a hobby and to kind of promote some artwork I would sell as reprints, but I wasn't getting that many sales, and I don't really think the website really was translating into sales, and you'd have to pay somebody to promote all these things. And I'm a DIY girly. I'm not going to spend thousands of dollars trying to promote something. Like, I just did it myself. It was a very much a DIY hobby site, and I always knew that about it. But then last year, my poor little art site got hacked by HostGator, and in the past, when HostGator websites got hacked, they'd re-backdate them and they'd fix it for you. But then this time, and HostGator knows that their platform is very vulnerable, by the way. This time they became greedy, and they told me that if I wanted to like fix my website, I'd have to spend $1,000. I'm like, I'm not doing that. And at that point, I wasn't really updating my website enough to warrant having one, to be honest with you. So I decided not to have it anymore. I probably need to update the captions in some videos because I think it's still linking to sweetberriesart.com, but I don't own that site anymore. I think somebody else bought the domain, which is fine by me because I wasn't gonna spend like HostGator was getting greedy. Like, I used to spend like almost $19 a month just for my fun hobby website, and I really wasn't making money like that. Like, my other YouTube channel makes some money, but not this blog. It wasn't making money like that. And I couldn't warrant, like, I was thinking, okay, so I'm just basically paying to just have this fun hobby art website that shares all my art, which I did like having it there just for fun, really. But then they wanted to start charging me like thousands of dollars a year to maintain the website. And I'm like, the security wasn't good enough to warrant that. And they wanted me to pay like 120% more per month than what I had been paying for many, many years. And they had already raised the price like in 2022, and they just became way too greedy. So I was like, I'm not going to pay for HostGator anymore. So I just let it go. And honestly, like I have a Zazzle shop. I sell some of my art prints on Zazzle, and I have an Instagram, which I don't really update too often, but I do sometimes. And I'm meaning to get more into sharing my art on here again. And that's kind of my goal. Like, I want to be a hobby artist. Like, art is just my fun little hobby when I have free time. It's like therapeutic for me. I know some people, I'm kind of through like discussing art with other people, because I did like dialogues with people in the past online where they felt like that unless like they had became this professional, commercially viable artist, that somehow creating art wasn't valid anymore for them. And then I think I kind of let some of their opinions on creating art like muddle mine a little bit. But for me, art is just my fun hobby, and I think it's okay to have hobbies. Like, I think we live in a time where, I don't know, it's like people don't appreciate a hobby anymore, and they kind of look down upon a hobby. And people act like unless you're making a lot of money doing something, that somehow like a certain thing that you do with your time is not a valid pursuit. That is that's the impression I get from some people. Maybe not everybody does that, but I get that vibe from a lot of people. They're just like, unless something's making a lot of money, they just don't think you should be doing it. And I'm like, why? Why is that? Like, who made this rule that all of a sudden that certain pursuits are not active? Like, reading books, there's a lot of things that people do just for enjoyment, like reading a book. You're not going to make a lot of money off reading books. Going hiking, knitting, sewing, just like enjoyable, slow living pursuits, like, and even cleaning your house. Like, I mean, you can have a fun YouTube channel. My YouTube channel mostly these days is about just, doing chores, and I'm trying to get more into art. I did do 2 art live streams today because I'm just going to share my take on life. That's what I'm going to do here on this channel. And that's my plan. Like, I don't plan on like trying to be some sort of a persona that other people think I should be. Like, I just want to be myself. And I'm going to tell you, in this time and in this age, rage against the bait. Like, you know how rage bait is so popular right now? Like, even with food videos. And this makes me a little sad in my heart, okay? Recently, like, a lot of, and I don't know why, for some reason, like, there's a lot of videos that are getting recommended to me in my feed. Like, they're rage bait food videos. They're not even real food videos. And there's all these really good YouTubers like Laura Vitale. Who else? Laura Vitale's one. Hyla in the Kitchen. She doesn't post anymore, but if you go back to her OG posts, they were really good. Cheap Lazy Vegan. Like, she does vegan food. Like, lots of vegan food prep. And I mean, I've done a few food videos. I just haven't really done super tight ones because I'm kind of an eclectic YouTuber. I don't try to make like these really tight tutorial type of food videos, although people have told me that I need to make tight tutorial videos, and that's just not stuck because that's just not my personality. Like, and I think that's changing too, honestly. Like, people are getting more into just being themselves on social media. And it's funny, like a few years ago I said, I'm just going to be myself. And a lot of people were like, what's that? But now it's like, that's the thing. And I'm like, that's interesting that a whole bunch of the big YouTubers have decided to do that. But yeah, and even though you have big YouTubers that have like just themselves or curated content, it seems like now more of what you're seeing on social media is a lot of the rage bait content. And I don't know why rage bait is so like popular. Like I'm still confused. Like why? Like there's people making a recipe. Like today I saw this short where basically this guy said, and he's using AI voice to say it. In the 80s and 90s, this was a recipe people made, and he like cut a slit in these hot dog buns. Put cheese in, put the hot dog in, put more cheese on, put mayonnaise, but and it was just crazy. And it was like it was rage bait food recipe. It wasn't a real recipe. I mean, if you were to eat that, you'd be sick. I don't think anybody's eating some of these recipes that people are posting, like recipe quotation marks. I think right now it's just like people want the views, right? So they're like trying to do real extreme things to get views. But it's kind of disappointing because there's a lot of actually really good recipe videos that you could find on YouTube that don't do that. Like they don't. Oh yeah, Anne Reardon, how to cook that. She does some recipes, but she talks more about debunking like 5-minute crafts or just zany YouTube videos. I actually like her a lot. She's very smart, very scientific, also a good baker. She's a little bit of everything. Very cool channel. And she debunks a lot of that stuff. So anytime like on your FYP you see like these food videos that you can tell it's not like a real recipe and you're like, what are they doing? Like um you're like, what are they doing? And I'm like, yeah, it doesn't seem right? Like it seems a little questionable. So yeah, I would question some of the things we see on social media. Like even food can be controversial these days. I don't know why it got to be like that. YouTube wasn't like that. Like I actually am an OG YouTuber, okay? If you look at this channel, I've had videos on this channel. Like my first upload, like I know I'm not like the mega big YouTuber, but this particular channel has had videos since 2008. So I do consider myself an OG YouTuber. I know I don't go about it the way that some other people do, but okay, thanks. I appreciate it. So, but what I can say that I really just like about YouTube in the beginning, and I still think it is possible because I'm going to continue to do YouTube this way, is just the organic, fun, homesy side of YouTube. Like, that's just the side of YouTube that I love. Like, where it's just kind of cozy, it's just home living kind of vibe. That's the side of YouTube I love, you know? Also, too, another thing that I like about YouTube and why it's just become like something that I watch a lot is because I became more active on YouTube around the time I got rid of cable TV because I just got to the point like, I don't know, 2010, I'm like, why am I subscribing to cable? Because YouTube has lots of fun, good content that's free to watch. And I'm just like in the point of my life, I'd rather, if I'm going to learn about the news, what I've done for years is I just read news articles. Some people are like, oh, I don't have television, so I don't know about what's happening on the news. I'm like, yeah, really don't need television. I've literally just read news articles. Like, in fact, that's why I think it's funny sometimes when people are like, oh my gosh, like with the TikTok ban, I'm not going to know what's happening on the news. But you can read news articles, like you can, because a lot of those people who do like videos where they talk about certain issues, they're reading things. And I think it's good that we do have like YouTube and TikTok where people can find out about things if they're not really so inclined to research stuff. But on the same token, oh, thanks. This cup or that cup? This cup is a strawberry. These are little glass jelly jars that my mom, like, she will can jellies and apple butters and things. And I was gonna use some of them to paint today and tonight, but I was like, yeah, I don't think I'm gonna do that. Oh yeah, the strawberry. I love him. I found him at Home Goods. Home Goods, guys. I know some people rag on Home Goods, but they have cute stuff. Like, you just have to be selective. Like, don't buy everything you see at Home Goods. Like, if you buy $500 worth of stuff at Home Goods, yeah, you might have a problem. But if you just buy a couple of cute things, I don't think it's a problem. And I love that strawberry cup. I also, at Marshall's, I found this cup and some other coffee cups. And I used to just have a couple of cups, but I think in the last couple of years, when I used to go, my sister doesn't have as much time anymore, but she used to have a little bit more time to go shopping. Like, we would go places, and I haven't been doing that with her lately. Plus, I don't know. I think I just got to the point that I don't spend a lot of money, but I feel like I don't even really want to be spending money, if that makes any sense. And who can really afford to spend a lot of money? You know what I mean? I don't know. Some people can, but not me. I don't know. I have gone back to being budget girly. Plus, at heart, I am a homebody. I love being at home and doing things at home, and it just brings so much joy and happiness to just do home-based content. Like, I know a lot of people, like, I'm sure it would be amazing to travel the world and do all those things, but I don't have money like that. And some people are like, but you could save up money. But some people just don't have money like that. Like, everybody has a different reality. And my reality has been for years that I take care of my younger sibling. So what money I did have went to taking care of her and taking care of myself, because I pay my own way in life. I don't have anybody that's paying my way. Like, everything I have done, like, in my life, I have to pay for myself. Like, I don't have anybody who's, like, contributed to my life financially. Like, since the age of 18, like, I had to pay for school myself. I had to pay for housing myself. So I think just when you're a woman, and this is just reality, when you're a woman and you're not, like, wealthy and you have to pay for everything yourself, you're just not going to do certain things. So, like, when people say, oh, you could afford to do this and that, that's not always true, because I prioritize having a nice home-based life over being in debt because I traveled for a year, because that's just not realistic. It has never been realistic for me. So that's good if you have, like, lots of extra money to travel, but I don't have extra money like that. And I just, that's reality for a lot of people. Plus, I think over time I've just been like, it would be cool to travel, but I live in Southern California. This is a really beautiful place. Southern California is amazing, and people travel from all over the world to come here and go on vacation. So I just feel like all of my life I've been able to see things that are world-class, like world-class landscapes, world-class, like, amusement parks, just everything. So I don't really feel like the food's amazing. Like, we have so much ethnic food in California. It's just so amazing. Like, I love California. Like, there's a lot of California haters. Like, people that really hate California. They hate California. But I don't care. You want to hate California? Not me. I'm not one of them, because I love California. Like, I'm a Californian. I am an American, and I'm proud of being American, but I'm a Californian first, okay? Californian first. I just am. Like, if you ask me where I'm from, I'm going to say California before I say U.S. I'm going to say, yes, I'm American, but when people ask me, and this is how most Californians feel, I think, too, like, most people who are from California, like, if somebody asks them where they're from, like, they would probably say the U.S., but I would say California first. I don't know. That's just how much I love, like, being Californian and living in California. California's a beautiful place. That's why so many people want to live here. You don't have to want to live here, but a lot of people like it here. And we have a wonderful climate and beautiful scenery, and I've just always loved everything about California. So the people who, like, say California's horrible because of taxes, did you know people make more money? Like, and somebody was talking about this, I thought was interesting. on TikTok. They said, yeah, you might pay some more taxes here. Cost of living, things might be more expensive here. But the conversion value is higher. Like this family from Idaho, I was watching her TikToks and she was saying that she moved here 6 months ago and she said, yeah, car tax is higher here, property tax is higher here, but like percentage wise, her salary goes farther. And then some people were trying to say in the comments, but oh, you could have $100,000 salary in Texas and it would go farther. And I'm like, okay, well then live in Texas. But I don't want to live in Texas. Like if you love Texas, you should live in Texas. I don't know, live in whatever part of the country you want to live in. I'm not your mommy. I'm not going to keep you from living there. But on the same token, I'm always going to be happy that I live in California. That's just how that's my love for California is that deep. I think California is a really wonderful place to live. And I've never had a complaint about it. I think for a while when I was going through this phase where, when I was a blogger, I always call HubPages a blogging site. That's really what it was. It was like a blogging site. Before YouTube became a bigger thing, I used to be more of a blogger. And during that time, like, there would just be all these people that would tell me that I should accept that California is not good, or that California is too liberal, or this is not good and that. And I'm like, why do these people have to share, like, ram their opinions about things down my throat? And you know, most people just probably wouldn't care, but I was always a sensitive kind of person. I was like, well, maybe I should be open to things that they're saying. But one thing I've learned recently, your original opinion about something is probably the right one. The people who hate California should just not talk about it and not live here. So that's all I'm going to say about that. I think we need to be in the era of just loving our lives and enjoying our lives and seeking happiness in our lives. That's kind of my take on all this. Trying to get everybody nice and rinsed off so we can put them in the dishwasher. I'm essentially just reloading my dishwasher. That's all I'm doing. Ah, don't fall. Don't fall, guys. Oh, no, I'm falling. I'm going to rinse you off. Give you a nice rinsey rinse. Rinse it off. Give you nice and rinse. Rinse, rinse, rinse. Rinsey, rinse, rinse. Everything nice and rinsed. Put them in the dishwasher. My height is my height. I'm 5'2". I know people are going to say again, oh, you look so tall. This fridge is very small. Okay, this fridge is probably tall. Is the fridge taller than me? Well, the fridge is, I don't know, the fridge is probably 5'3" or something, but it's not some tall fridge. Like, this is not some big giant fridge. It's just a little tiny fridge. I thought if the fridge was original that came with the apartment that was built like around 83, but I found out because I looked on inside the fridge yesterday. It was built in 2008, but I mean, I'm not a fridge expert. I just thought, oh, it must be like original because, you know, a few years up until 2017, I had the original washer and dryer in this unit, but then it died one day because it was one of those stackable, like in apartment complexes. Actually, I really like this unit because it has a washer, a dryer, dishwasher, and a lot of units don't have all those things. So I'm like, it's pretty nice. Like for an apartment to have all these different appliances, because that was something I was looking for in an apartment many moons ago. Was and another reason I've just decided not to buy a house, because in California houses are expensive. And living in an apartment like this has just always been conducive because we have a washer and dryer, which a lot of apartments don't have those things. Like even the condos, okay, the people across the way, like the apartment complex, and there's condos right next to us. I think the condos were built in 1980. And there was somebody once that told me that the apartments were built by the same person or like architect, which I do believe because they look very similar. It was all in Orange Grove at one time too, because I remember up until a few years ago there used to be orange trees behind the apartments and the condos, so I could tell that was part of the original orange fields, because this whole area was all orange fields at one time. And there's like it's not like a street, but it's like it's hard to say. It's kind of like a dead end street. It's going into a parking lot on two sides. On one side you have the condos, and then on the other side you have the apartments where I live. But the condos, they don't even have their own washers and dryers in the unit. And I think at one time, maybe, this is what I heard. I would have to look into this. I'd have to look this up. But somebody said that they wanted these apartments to be like more condos, but I guess some real estate corporation bought the apartment side and they became apartments. Because I remember like a few years back we got a letter saying that if we were to become condos, like there was some sort of push for this whole complex to become condos. They were going to offer for us to buy our units or something, which was interesting. But then apparently that fell through because I never heard anything about it again. And I never, like, I love my unit, but I'm so glad that I did not purchase it as a condo, because it's had a few, well, even tonight, I am going to put in a maintenance request tomorrow because there's like, the garbage disposal is having some problems again. And yeah, I've had a few leaks. And if I had bought this as like a unit, it'd be so expensive to fix all that stuff yourself. And I know some people are like, but home ownership is the way. But I don't know. I've lived renting all these years just because I don't have to pay like, well, maintenance is part of your rent, and I don't have to pay like extra like when something breaks. And for me, it just works. Plus, I want my parents to live as long as possible, but what they want is when they pass away, they want me to live in their house, which I don't know. Like, I'm still thinking of this. I hope they live a long time. I want them to live a very long time. So that's not even a thought. But because I am part Syrian, and Syrian people don't put their family in rest homes. We just don't do that. Like, culturally, like, that's something I was taught that was wrong. Although my aunts and uncles did that to my grandpa. It was really weird. I don't know why they did that, because he said he knew it was wrong in his heart, and they said later they regretted it. But I would never do that to my parents. So if my parents ever get to the point that they can't take care of themselves anymore, I will move in with them and I will be their 24/7 care. Like, that's already what I've decided. And my sister said too, because we just have that familial loyalty like that. And it was something that my grandpa believed in and my dad believed in. I mean, I don't know. My aunts and uncles didn't really believe in that when it came to him, but I believe in that. I would never put my parents in a home, because I feel like they're your parents. They took care of you when you were a child. You should take care of them in your old age. In their old age, not your old age, but you will be older. But yeah, those are just my thoughts on that. But I want them to live a long time and then continue to do well, you know. But one day they want me to live in their home. So my thought was all these years, like, I always decided, like, I I don't need to buy a house because one day I would inherit their house. But so since I don't have kids, like personally, I don't need, like, I have no need of owning a house. Like, it's just not something that I need for myself to feel like some people want to have own a house, but for me, I just always thought that would be stressful. And there were a lot of people that live in our apartment complex that felt the same way. Like, there was this lady, she actually had a lot of money. Like, when she divorced her husband, like, she had a lot of money. She was very set, but she said that she always wanted to rent because she didn't want to own a house, because when you own a house you have to do all this upkeep. And I love, like, not like, I'll tell you the kind of apartment I would own. I would not own, rent. I would rent corporate managed apartments, just because in the past I lived in apartments that had a landlord, like, they just had like this personal stake and they just didn't want to fix things and they were kind of stingy about it. But it's not like that. Corporate apartments are not like that. They actually send out surveys and they want to know what they can do to, like, make your stay better. And, like, most people don't live in corporate apartments long term. Like, they're set up for people that basically, I don't know, that work in corporations or hospitals or things like that. But I found that I really like living in corporate apartments. I do, like, because they're just managed well, and the people who run it, like, there is an owner, like, of all the corporate apartments, but it's not just this one owner who is, like, very stingy about, like, making repairs. Corporate apartments take pride in, like, running the complex well and doing repairs, and I just really like that. Like, they want to make sure you're satisfied. A lot of apartments are not run like this. And I had lived in a corporate apartment like over 20 years ago in Rancho Cucamonga. And that's why I decided to live in one again. And it was just by mistake that I found that one that time. And it's like the best if you're ever going to rent an apartment, like in California. I highly encourage you to rent like corporate apartments. And with the price of everything in California, they're actually, like, they're not cheap per se, but they're actually more reasonable than, like, renting from a landlord or renting from where, I don't know, nowadays everything's just really competitive. Like, so I keep my apartment. I was a really lucky ducky though, because I got this lease many years ago when things were half of what you pay now for rent. And yeah, rent has gone up, but I just really love my little unit. And even when it has problems, I'm like, I love my little unit just because it's small, but it's cute and it's mine. And, like, I don't own it, but, like, I've lived here and I feel comfortable here. And corporate apartments just are managed really well. And even though they're corporate apartments, the people who tend to work at them, most of them tend to work long term, and you just have, like, this sense of community. And it's not like, oh, I'm this landlord that doesn't want to fix things for you. They actually want to make repairs because they want people to rent. Not everybody's going to rent long term like I do, but they want people that will rent from them for 2 or 3 years. That's the vibe I get. Like, they encourage you to keep renewing your lease. Like, if you want to stay here forever, they don't really care. They encourage you to invite your friends and family to come live here. So, yeah, I've just had a really good experience living, like, corporate managed apartments. I know there's some things people don't like about corporations, but corporate managed apartments are the best. They just are. Like, I will never rent from an individual landlord. Like, I did that in my 20s, and it was always so weird. And, like, you had to be at the mercy of when the landlord wanted to come do repairs. And it just always felt like they wanted to inspect where you were living, like, to make sure you weren't doing something to the place that they didn't approve of, which just is kind of weird. Like, I'm like, why are you renting out a space? And then they'd get mad, like, if you wanted to go somewhere for the day, or if you had, like, even if a guest wasn't staying, they were just nosy. And I don't know, I just didn't like it. I didn't like it. So if you're ever going to rent an apartment, for more than 3 or 4 years, I highly encourage you to look for corporate managed apartments, just not individual landlord apartments. They're just not that. That's just my take on renting. But the renting just really works for my lifestyle, just because I I don't foresee ever wanting to own my own house, because someday eventually I would be taking care of my parents one day. So why would I own a house? I don't need to own a house. Like, for me, there's no point in owning a house. Plus, it's really expensive nowadays, and I just don't feel like home ownership is something that really fits my personality type, you know? So yeah, renting long term, it's cool. It's fun. I like it. Some people say, "Oh, but you could have owned a house by now." But there's a lot of people that will be paying forever on a $700,000 house, unless you're one of these people that just bats your eyes and says, "I bought it outright." Yay for you! I guess a lot of people can buy a $700,000 house outright, but that is not the reality for a lot of us. But I love my little life. I don't need to live some rich aspirational life to be happy. And that's why I love at home content. I just want to be myself and enjoy life the way that I see fit, you know? Yeah. So that's kind of a long story about my philosophy on life. Just enjoy the life you live. Like, there's so many people that are telling you that you have to aspire for more and more, or just feel disgruntled about what you do have. But I feel like counting your blessings. I know it's just so, some people think this is so cheesy and old fashioned, but I just am appreciative for the things I do have. Like, I am very cognizant of the fact that a lot of people are homeless nowadays, and a lot of people are just struggling a lot. So to have a place to live is actually a privilege. And I don't want to sound like I'm preaching about that, but I've just seen it. And when you've seen it, you're just more in touch with it. Like, I'm not somebody that lives on the extravagant side of life. I'm somebody who lives on the side of life where I live comfortably enough, but I've seen people who struggle. So I have seen what can happen to people. Like, and not all these people set out to have bad things happen to them or be homeless. I think a lot of them had mental health issues. Some of them might have been alcoholics. There was this one man, he's homeless. He's a brilliant man. I think he might have been an engineer. Very brilliant man, but I think he has a little bit of a drinking problem. I don't, it's really sad. And I don't understand, like, why he didn't want to get a job and have a house. But I get the impression he was just always the kind of person that liked the free lifestyle. And I know some people are going to be like, but being homeless is not a lifestyle. Like, there are some people that don't want to be homeless. Like, they would rather have a place to live. But there are other people, they like being homeless. This might sound crazy to you. Like, why would anybody want to be homeless? But there are some people, they like the freedom that comes with it. Like, they're very, even though they're homeless, they're the kind of people, like, they will camp anywhere, and I don't know, they go take a shower at the Salvation Army, and they make money, I don't know, doing something or other to where they have some food, and they like the freedom that provides them. And that to me just seems really harsh, like a very harsh life. But this guy, he's very brilliant, but he prefers to be homeless. But he's really brilliant. Like, he can put bikes together. He's built bikes for people just because, like, he does that just for fun. Like, he would go volunteer and teach people how to build a bike. I don't know. Like, he's a very generous, kind person, but I don't know. Having a place to live just was never a priority for him. So yeah, that's just a little bit about my take on life. Like, I've just seen, I think being a pedestrian, you see a lot of things, because I walk for transportation. Like, you just see a lot of things, and I've seen a lot of homeless people, and they're not scary. Like, a lot of them are nice, and they say hi to me because I'm nice to them. If you're kind to people and you don't treat them like garbage, like sometimes when you go to Starbucks, there's some people that are just very off-putted by homeless people sitting inside the coffee shop drinking coffee or water. And I'm like, why? Like, are they hurting you in some way? But some people don't like that. Some people don't want to see homeless people. And I think they just want homeless people to not exist, because to them, like, look, yeah, I don't think you should like take over parks and do bad activity. But some of the homeless guys, they've never made a mess and they keep to themselves and they hide away. Like, they're not doing anything to be a nuisance to the public. But some people just literally, they don't even want homeless people to go into a convenience store and buy something because they think these people should just not be there. There are people that say these things all the time, and I guess I'm super sensitive. Like, I've always been like kind of bothered by that. Like, you're you shouldn't feel that way about people. So you should always be appreciative of what you have. Do I sound like a little corny? I don't care. I don't care if I sound corny. You should appreciate what you have, because not everybody has a place to live. You know? You should appreciate the things you have in life. Long story short. Anyway, I go on and on, but that's how I do it here. Thanks.